more people coming.
Oh, okay.
Thank you all set? All set? Okay, Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Michael Farrar,
Here.
Dave DeLaylis,
Here.
Stephen Churchill,
Here.
Don Geiser, Doug Avery,
Present.
Travis Warren.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to kind of a public meeting for the first time in a long time. It's good to see faces out there, and we've missed you. And hopefully we can get back to normal here one of these months. But thank you for your patience, and thank you for many of you who've sent emails and letters and so forth. We appreciate you staying involved. And when we started this off in January, this administration and this town board, obviously our goal was to be accessible to the public and to obviously make things better in Seneca Falls. So even though there's been COVID-19, we have continued to do that for the last 5 months. So again, welcome, and it's good to see everybody in attendance. Tonight we have a couple of things before we get into the petitioners. First and foremost, we have a young lady in our community that probably many of you know or have heard her name already. Her name is Grace Lando, and her parents are here tonight. Grace has been selected to be representing New York State in First Lady Trump's recognition of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And with greater pride to come to Seneca Falls and a Seneca Falls young person being recognized for her artwork. And as I said, she's one of 50 people and the only person in New York State. So at this time, I'd like to congratulate and introduce Grace Lando. Grace, would you come up for a moment, please? At some point, Grace will be going to Washington, D.C. To be recognized by the First Lady and the committee. Have they come up with that day yet, Grace? They've not. So at some point, that's going to happen. Grace, would you explain to everybody what your artwork was?
It was 2 people formed into one, Ida B. Wells and Alice Paul, and behind them they had famous quotes that they had said that really impacted the human suffrage.
And that was done in pencil, I understand. So the town board has got you a couple of gifts. Okay, we got you some pencils, so you can continue hard work. We got you a sketching pad so you can keep practicing. We got you some colored pencils, because I know you like color pencils more than anything else. And we got you a gift card for anything you want.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more thing from you. I have a special letter. Okay? And I'd like to read that to you. Gotta put my glasses on first. The letterhead is the University of Pennsylvania, 231 South 34th Street, Philadelphia, PA. And it starts off, Dear Grace, I would like to congratulate you and your family on your selection to represent the entire state of New York as part of the First Lady's recognition of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. I am truly honored and humbled that you chose my friend Ida B. Wells and myself as your theme for this spectacular piece of artwork. I wish I could attend tonight's meeting in Seneca Falls, but where I live now, we are 100% COVID-19 free. I don't want to travel and risk infecting my friends here. Tell everyone to keep wearing their masks and keep practicing social distancing. It really works. Even though I was born in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, I've always considered Seneca Falls one of my favorite places and still holds a very special place in my heart. I understand you're interested in becoming a veterinarian. I highly recommend attending one of the colleges that I attended, such as Swarthmore or the University of Pennsylvania. I received my bachelor's degree in biology when I was only a few years older than your current age of 15. Keep working hard and all of your dreams will be realized. Again, thank you for honoring my lifelong efforts to promote equality, not just for women, but for all people. Unfortunately, the fight still continues today, as I'm sure you are well aware of. I'm staying away from the White House these days, as I don't want to be arrested again like I was back in 1964. Have a great night, and again, congratulations. Sincerely, Alice Paul.
Thank you.
So I want to thank Alice for sending this letter through time.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, you folks are more than welcome to stay, but if I were you, I'd get out. But, thank you for coming, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Hi,
Wow, how are you? Not too well, how are you?
he's good.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we have some petitioners tonight. Mrs. Greer, don't get mad at me. Please. Our first petitioner is Mark Pittifer. Mark, you have exactly 30 seconds.
Mike, do you want this on? You want to try it on first?
Let's put it on, Jim. Let's see what it sounds like.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Supervisor Ferrara and members of the Town Board. My name is Mark Pittifer. I'm the Director of Community Relations at Bonadent Dental Labs. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the Bonafiglia family regarding Seneca Meadows' continued failure to comply with the host agreement, especially as it relates to odor issues. The host agreement clearly states, Appendix C, number 7, letter C, Seneca Meadows will timely investigate the complaint and determine the appropriate response to mitigate the conditions giving rise to the complaint. I personally called more than 8 times in the month of July. I stood outside Bonadent for over an hour each time. Not once did a member from Seneca Meadows ever show up to investigate the odor. Yet 2 weeks later, each time I received a report in the mail indicating that they did show up 30 minutes after the time of my call and determined there was no odor on site. 25% of the month of July I smelled odor so bad it prompted a call, yet only one time did Seneca Meadows reporting indicate there was odor on site. Seneca Meadows' odor reporting system is flawed and inaccurate at best. I would go so far as even to say deceitful as well. The host agreement also states, same Appendix C, number 7, Section D, with respect to odor complaints, Seneca Meadows will take reasonable corrective measures to mitigate the odor problem. Mitigation may include increasing the size of the working force at the landfill, limitation or termination of trenching activities, increasing the use of flares in landfill gas treatment facilities, modification of leachate materials, restriction or elimination of waste streams or operational changes associated therewith, and other measures which Seneca Meadows determines will reduce off-site odor complaints. Clearly, if 25% of July saw odor levels rise to requiring complaints, they have not taken reasonable corrective measures to mitigate the problem, as the host agreement requires. On behalf of the Bonafiglia family, I ask the board, continue to work towards an independent odor monitoring system the people can trust, while continuing to hold Seneca Meadows accountable to the host agreement that they agreed to by withholding approval of the operating permit until they have significantly reduced the odor they generate. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Pitterfer, for stopping in. Tell Bruce I said hello. Tell him he did a nice job in the letter. Okay? Our second petitioner is Mrs. Val Samuels. Val, welcome.
Well, again, thank you, Supervisor Kevin, hear me? Yes? All right,
You're going to have to speak right into it, Val.
Pardon?
I said you might have to.
Okay. On behalf of the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee, I'm here to discuss several of our continued concerns. First, SFEAC requests that you deny renewal of Seneca Meadows operating permit as the landfill is currently in violation of Seneca Falls Town Code, our host community agreement, and New York State Code 6 CRR-NY 211.0, air pollution prohibited. Despite its claim that complaints are down, landfill gas and odors continue to pervade our community and interfere with our quality of life. Many of our community members have been negatively impacted by the odors, not only outside, but these gases have also invaded their homes and businesses. Second, Seneca Meadows is polluting our air and compromising the health of our community. Landfill gas migration is a major health concern. According to the New York State Department of Health, short-term exposures to elevated levels of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide in air can cause coughing, irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, headache, nausea, and breathing difficulties. The New York State Department of Health has also conducted studies in communities near landfills that have verified these negative effects. If short-term exposure has this impact, imagine what detrimental effects long-term exposures are having on our residents. A recent study by the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill found that, quote, landfill pollution may be as unhealthy as it is unpleasant. Its findings were almost identical to those reported by the New York State Department of Health. Research published in the Journal of Epidemiology in 2016 found that these symptoms are very prominent in children. Since almost all of the Seneca Falls schools and Waterloo schools are less than 2 miles from the landfill, this is very disturbing. SMI is endangering the health and well-being of our children. To that end, the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee would like you to hold SMI accountable for its ongoing odor issues and its continued violation of Town Code and New York State Code, both of which prohibit air pollution. Since SMI is operating illegally, SFEAC urges you to contact the appropriate officials to enforce these laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels. Third petitioner, Supervisor Greg Rosario.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. Today in America, we are at a crisis that consumes every community in the country. The crisis of policing is real, and real reform must take place. Governor Cuomo has ordered all municipalities to engage in police reform and have a plan by April of 2021. We in Seneca Falls need to embrace this change with vigor. We cannot just change the tire. The spokes and the chain must go along with it. A board made up of civilians must move on a real paradigm change in police policy and procedures. Progressive mental health training needs to take place with emphasis on the patient and not the emotional instability of the police at the scene of a mental health crisis, as has happened in Seneca Falls. The mentally ill who have been taken into custody cannot be called names and threatened with pepper spray. pepper spray. Police must diffuse these situations in a calm manner and call mental health staff to help with the situation. Command police officers must recognize support for the person in custody. The local police force must not investigate their own officers, as has happened in the past. A case is prejudiced from the start as soon as the investigation of the police officer by the local department is begun. Police must have a working relationship with social service agencies. Any child abuse investigation must be coordinated through local social and child protective services. This has not happened in the past in Seneca Falls. In order to effect change, a strong community policing policy needs to be in practice on a day-to-day operational basis. Police unions need to be disbanded. The police protect and serve their community. They are civil servants who use the term paramilitary organization. New York State labor laws protect their terms and conditions of employment. As policing can be mental and physically stressing a job, annual physicals and psychological evaluations must take place on all police personnel. All local police agencies must work together for a consistent policing effort with the goal of consolidation to ensure consistency. Police must live in their communities. And I'll go back to the civilian board once. A civilian board must oversee the police department without political ties to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Lazaro, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come talk to us tonight. Appreciate it. There's a couple of updates that I have, and Mr. Lazaro was one of them. We are in the process of working myself with Chief Peenstra on the governor's executive order. More information will be coming out in September, but there will be, as per the governor's executive order, a committee to look at policing in our community. I can only say that I've lived here 63 years, and for the past 58, I've been nothing but proud of Seneca Falls Police Department. I've known the police when I was a kid. They helped me out when I was in trouble, and they continue to be a service to our community. So I thank you for your time, and I'll have some more updates on the committee, how that proceeds. A couple other updates. The town is working very hard as a collaborative team, and our department managers and our employees are working very hard to save the taxpayers money whenever we can. Just a couple of things going on. Starting Monday, we now are in the dumpster business. You don't know, we used to have 4 dumpsters at the town hall, one at the community center, one at Kids Territory, and one at Vince's Park, that we were paying someone to obviously give us the dumpster and empty the trash. So now we've taken that over ourselves internally, and this is a collaborative effort, as I said, between some people, Chief Peenstra, Aaron Casalacqua, Joe Tullo, Jim Spina, and certainly Jim Peterson and his crew. So now we're not paying $10,000 a year for someone, independent hauler, to take our stuff away. So that's all being done internally now. A couple other updates. Hard to believe, but we're all very familiar with the 3-woman statue on Barrett Street across from Generations Bank. Thankfully, nothing has ever happened to it, but unbelievably, there's been never any insurance on the statue. So we are in the process of insuring the statue in case something does happen in the future. We're also in the process of eliminating phones and carriers and so forth. We're in partnership with a new local company called CBN, which is out of Geneva, and we're in the process of getting rid of some of our carriers for phone and internet. CBN has agreed to provide some of the services free to the town, in exchange for tower space. So on September, hopefully I'll be able to report to you the complete cost savings, but we're in the process of doing that. Finally, 115 Fall Street, our condo is still for sale, but we finally were able to track down the phone numbers there because for the last 8 years, taxpayers of Seneca Falls have been paying for 3 telephone lines at 115 Fall Street, and nobody's been there. So we finally tracked those numbers down, and we've disconnected those numbers, obviously. We're in the process of cleaning 115 Fall Street out. There's an abundance of historical information there. And I've been working with the Seneca Falls Historical Society, Chris, and the Visitor Center, Rhonda, Destino. So they've taken, the Visitor Center have taken some stuff. The Historical Society has taken some stuff. And then a lot of other stuff will go back to our records area of storage. And when we get time, we'll see what's relevant to this. So just some updates that I wanted to keep people informed of. Okay, number 2 on the agenda, approval of the minutes. I'd like to motion made, please, for approval of the July 7th regular board meeting. Second, please.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? I need a motion to approve the special virtual meeting of July 14th, 2020. Can I have a second, please? Mr. Avery?
Yes, on the minutes for that, it was said at that meeting, when talking about the Waste Management Advisory Committee, it outlined the 1-year term, 2-year, 3- and 4-year terms that the initial terms that the members would take, and then also put me in place as chairman, but said that the chairperson doesn't get a vote. And as an ex officio member of this kind, the chairperson should get a vote according to Robert's Rules of Order. So I've spoken to Mike about it, and it's fine with him. I'm going to ask that just that phrase, and doesn't get a vote, be stricken from the minutes.
So you want to make a motion to amend the minutes?
Sure.
And the motion would be to the ex officio member, which is a town board member, does have voting rights. And I would second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. And I apologize to the Waste Management Committee and to Doug. It's bad interpretation on my part. So thankfully, Doug, you caught that, and we're all set to go.
Thank you.
Okay. This time I'd like to have motions to... I'm sorry.
We voted on the amendment. Now we need
Right. Thank you. Vote on the amendment. Now, all in favor of the amended acceptance of the minutes from the special meeting on the 14th, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Thank you, Steve. Okay, reports at this time. I'd like to make a motion to accept the dog control officer report. Can I have a second, please? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I'd like to make a motion to accept the zoning officer's report. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to have a motion to accept the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation report. Have a second, please. Discussion. Mr. Spina?
Yes, I would like to just give the board an update and the folks in the audience an update about our programs that we were able to restart here over the last couple of weeks. We were able to come up with a plan, work with the town board, and who are very good about supporting the ideas of getting kids busy again, at least in a small step kind of way. And what we've started was this last week and this week some basketball camps for grades 1 through 12 here in our gym. Small groups, no more than 12, about hour and 15-minute sessions. Staff completely masked. Kids masked when they're not active. When they're active, they are unmasked. All offensive skills camps, no contact. Kids are having a great time. Parents are enjoying the hour off, I think, that they get. But, you know, grand total for those numbers for basketball is 42 kids. That's grades 1 through 12. Well, actually, that's 1 through 6. and then another group of about 40 kids in the 7 through 12, all split up in groups of smaller than 15. And then soccer will start next week, and that has been a huge success registration-wise. 32 grades 1 through 3, 34 4 through 6, 37 7 through 12. Those will all also be socially distanced over kids' territory in different fields, smaller groups of less than 12. Again, no contact, offensive skills only. It's been a good start. With basketball, we expect the same success with soccer. And then we have lacrosse the following week. Right now, that's a little slow, but we have roughly, I believe, as of yesterday, 17 kids registered. That will grow a little bit as well. So thank you, Town Board, for giving us the okay to do that. We've also opened the gym for walking for adults from 9 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday, socially distanced here in the gym, as well as the game room. All that is going well so far, and we have been able to keep up as a staff with cleaning, keeping bathrooms wiped down, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up to date and let you know that we've been so far happy with the results.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jim, any questions or any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the Seneca Falls Highways report for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Peterson, anything to add?
Got nothing more to add.
You're all set. Don't need anything. Everything's good.
Life is good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mark the calendar.
Any questions or further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I'd like to make a motion to accept the assessor's report for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Mr. Morrell.
So the pending matter regarding local law 3, there has been no change within the past month. As you recall, last month's report had that the Article 78 filed, the town did a motion to dismiss, and the court has reserved decision, and I expect to hear from him shortly. The town will know as soon as I do. The town board will know as soon as I do.
We're talking about local law 3 of 2020.
Local law 3 of 2020.
I want to make sure.
That's the most recent parking regulations that were in place. But so have not heard anything in the past month. Otherwise, there's matters later on the board, later on the agenda that we'll discuss in the board.
Thank you, Pat. Based on that report, I'm assuming your invoice is going to be a little lower this week. Good.
Lower.
Worth every penny, though.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. I'd like to make a motion to accept the Seneca Falls Water and Sewer Department's report for July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Tulo, anything to offer?
Nope. Good.
Any questions? Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the town court report for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion, I can only add that courts open up, I think, August 11th, maybe next week? I think is,
They had court last night.
it's open this week. That's what I said, August 4th. Perfect. So courts are open finally, and we're working on an interim a judge, waiting for the special election in November to have our town judge back reinstated.
I attended the court last night, did social, everything went fine. As somebody got up from the chair, the officer went over, sprayed the chair, wiped it down for the next person to sit down.
Did you get a speeding ticket or something?
Just observed being on the court committee, met the new judge. Everything went fine. They were over about 8 o'clock.
Great. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I'd like to make a motion to accept the Town of Seneca Falls Police Department report for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Chief Peanstra.
Yes, I have a couple things I'd like to add.
Our internet custody exchange zone is in full swing. We kicked that off on our social media pages. It's been a big hit. So I would like to thank the town board for supporting that additional camera on that site to make that an extremely safe area to do the custody and internet exchange. On Saturday, the Punishers Motorcycle Club are going to be hosting their gift ride at the SMS. You're going to be seeing a lot of motorcycles in the area. They leave at about 11 a.m. and return about between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. So there'll be a lot of, as I said, motorcycles in the area. That is where they support us in our Fill the Cruiser toy drive. So they get, you've seen that bin outside of the SMS. They fill that up with toys, and everyone that comes to ride, they have to bring a toy. That in return goes into our Fill the Cruiser in December. In return goes to families in need in Seneca County. So I'd like to thank the Punishers again for doing that, and that will be this Saturday. Quick training update.
Chief,
yes.
Sunday the 9th.
Sunday. Thanks, Lieutenant. Always keeping me on track. Sunday. Quick training update. So part of the Executive Order 203 that the governor put out that Supervisor Bizarro stated mandated some specific training. We've already taken it upon ourselves, which we've done in the past prior to this, but now we've mandated yearly anti-bias for law enforcement and de-escalation training. That is now mandated in our policies year after year. We were taking those trainings prior to this executive order, but now it's actually implemented in our policy. Mental health training, we have 2 mental health officers, or mental health police officers taking week-long training this week. They started Monday for specific mental health, dealing with individuals suffering from mental illness. They are in class as we speak. And then, as you're going to see, I have implemented another strategy for individuals suffering from mental illness. That got rolled out last week. We purchased an iPad, and we've been working with Clifton Springs Hospital and Seneca County Mental Health on Zoom evaluation. So now, if law enforcement's unsure, if someone needs to go to Clifton Springs for an evaluation, because we're not mental health professionals, we're able to controlled atmospheres, Zoom in with a mental health professional so the person can then speak with that individual in the privacy of their own home. Ontario has been using this and been very successful, Ontario County, and they're stating that about 8 out of 10 individuals are able to stay right in their home. That is a win-win for not only the individual suffering from mental illness, but law enforcement and everybody in the community. We rolled that out last week, and we're going to be doing a press release with Finger Lakes 1 and such. It was supposed to be tomorrow. It's now been kicked over to next week, so you'll be seeing some of those changes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the engineering report for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Baker, welcome. And are you going to give us any updates? If you are, I'm going to force you over there on the PA.
I have nothing to add to it unless you have questions on the report. I'm going to stay quiet.
And we're going to talk a little bit about, Frank Knight sidewalk project, right?
That is, I'm not sure if it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda under new, old business. So, we'll get to that, okay? Okay. Thanks, Peter. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Make a motion to accept the MRV grant writing services report for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Columbus, anything to add?
Just following up with the cemetery group that had reached out, we've community is moving forward to work towards a clean energy communities program, which will hopefully come out this fall. And we're continuously taking a look at different grant programs as they potentially may come out. They've been delayed, and assisting with some grant administration for a previous grant.
Is there any movement on the CF grant?
CFAs, as of now, no, although I know Tom Reed is on hold to be held in DC for conversations that might take place at the federal level, which Cuomo was saying he's holding up his stuff based on the federal level, so there's potential movement, but
I'll still quiet.
yeah.
Thank you, Emily.
My pleasure.
Any questions or further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the July report for the Seneca Falls Development Corporation. Have a second, please.
Second.
Joelle or Doug, I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't ask him to come only because I didn't know how many people were going to show up. So Doug, I was not at July. Anything happening special?
The SFDC is looking at how to salvage the 2020 centennial of the suffrage vote, and so I think within a month or so you're going to see banners up as we start to try to hang on to the last half of this year and pick up the celebration where it should have been for the last several months. And then we'll probably carry over into next year, just so again we can make up for lost time. The other thing is that I would urge you all to look, or maybe Jim can join in about the staycation program that the state has put together. 6 locations across New York State. Seneca Falls is one, and an emphasis on kayaking the canal. And so there are some program things that are in place that take place right out in back here that encourage you to get a kayak, no cost, and go paddle around for a while on I guess Monday, Friday.
It's Friday through Monday.
Yeah.
2 launches, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You go on the Fuzzy Guppies website. They're in Waterloo, but you get their website. They're here. You make a reservation. You come here, show up. They get you all hooked up. It's a free activity, and you can canoe and kayak up and down the canal for 2-3 hours. You come back and do your thing, and it's been very busy so far. But I don't think it's been, everybody who's wanted to get a reservation pretty much has been able to do that when they saw fit. So they're very knowledgeable. You have staff on hand that can help you. It's a great opportunity, and hopefully people take advantage of it.
The ultimate socially distanced activity is to be in a kayak off by yourself. And then the last thing, of course, you saw in the newspaper perhaps that the DRI proposal is all set and ready to go to the state. The local committee met by Zoom a week and a half ago and made its final decisions, which were presented the following night rather to as a public meeting for anybody who wished to attend. Attendance was quite good. Remember that it's a $10 million grant, which after costs are taken out is 9.7. Seneca Falls, that LPC, that committee put together $15.8 million in project requests that represent over $30 million in projects by the time you get the person or the entity that's asking for money throws in their money. It doubles that. Then the state takes those requests, that $15.88 million, and they'll narrow it down to 9.7 and tell us what they're going to pay for. So it's a very exciting time, but it's also kind of anxious because they're great projects. A lot of things that are done on behalf of the town that are going to embellish Fall Street and so on, but a lot of private projects, restaurants, apartments, all sorts of things. But not everybody's going to get in, and it's the state that makes that final decision. In the meantime, we just sit on our hands and wait for their judgment. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug. Again, I'd like to thank some town employees to get behind the rec center ready for the kayaking. Gym staff, Aaron and Dwayne and Wyatt Nicholson and a couple staff members from Joe. Joe helped out with a couple of his staff members and cleaned up the island over there and did a lot of work to get that all ready. So be sure to thank you folks for me, and I appreciate it. Okay, other committee reports. I think we will give a committee report on waste management at this time. Some of our petitioners, I think our response to your petition's words, we're working on it, okay? Doug, I don't know, is Barb here?
Yep.
All right, Barb. Want to give us an update?
I was looking at you, Doug.
You're passing it off, huh?
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, Doug.
All right, it's been a long time since we've spoken publicly about this. We've dealt with it every month in the last several months, but it's nice to see faces. Remember there are two committees working on waste management and the landfill question and the question of the landfill permit. One is Steve Churchill and Pat Morell and myself, and we're working on part of it, but then also the Waste Management Advisory Committee, which is made up of town residents, is working on it as well. We had said some time ago that we were shooting for August in order to tonight would be when we would have a proposal for the town board as to what we would recommend that we pass on to the landfill as expectations in order for them to have that annual permit renewed. And there were some last minute things that made us decide that it would be best if we hold off for one additional month, and that would give us a chance for the two committees to meet together and develop those recommendations. So I apologize for not having anything tonight, but it is a very reasonable expectation that we will have a recommendation for the board. We don't tell the landfill what to do. We will make a recommendation to the board at the September 1st, the September meeting, and then the board will decide what to do with that as it pertains to the first one. So both groups are meeting, both groups are working very hard. We're going to have one combined meeting. The board committee is going to attend the August waste management meeting, work together and hammer out the details, and we'll be back after next month.
Okay, thank you so much. Dan and Barb, thank you for your work on that committee. It's not easy, and Frank Seneca is also on that committee, and Gene Gilroy is also on that committee. Virginia Counts has been helping out as well. Dale has attended, Mark has attended, so we have some people who are not on the committee and attended, so I can assure you that the committees, both committees are working very hard to get a proposal together for the board and go to the SMI and ask them to sit down and talk about our proposal. So, thank you. Okay, communications. Mrs. Greer, anything spectacular in communication that we should know about? Okay, thank you. I don't have to make a motion for that. I do. Make a motion to accept communications for the month of July. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Old business, RFP for 10 Fall Street. Attorney Morale, I think that's out and about, right?
That's out and about, been advertised, and that was, it was authorized at the last meeting, yes.
Okay. Thank you. And we said October 1st or 30th?
I believe it's going to the end of September.
End of September.
I think it was October 1st.
Okay. Attorney Morale, any update on 60 State Street?
Just that I have been in contact with the folks who did that had their RFP selected, and they have been caught up really in the whole delays surrounding the whole DRI situation, and so their whole offer, their whole situation that is dependent upon that DRI. So we've been together in a holding pattern here with the rest of everything else related to that program.
So are we saying that they're not going to sign a purchase agreement until the state approves their proposal?
Unless we make it contingent upon that, Yes.
I'm not going to speak for the state. As Doug said, it's not in the LPC's hands now, it's in the state's hands. It's a great project, it fits all the criteria, but there's no guarantee, obviously, that what happens or doesn't happen. So, okay. If you have any conversation with her, I'd like her to answer, if you ask that question, if nothing's going to happen until the state approves the project, and you know that.
They want either, to have any agreement, to have a contingency that the DRI funding will need to be a part of it.
Okay.
So that they don't get it, they're not extra.
Is that the first time they've articulated that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. I think Doug touched on demands related to SMI. We'll have something in September. Steve, any updates with Barrett Street legal pursuits?
Only that I did have a discussion with Attorney Morrell, and currently there are some folks, there's some pro bono legal work being done. So we're taking advantage of that if we can, to search out the title.
There are also foils out there in New York State Canal Corp on past practices that they've been doing.
Dave, have you had any conversations with the DEC?
There's foils out there. That's what I said, they got foils out there. I haven't heard anything back from the Canal Corp or DEC.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do we have to keep 115 Fall Street down there in old business?
No, it was already acted on and
Yeah.
or did that?
Frank Knight Sidewalk Project, which is phase 2 of the sidewalk project. Katie Stanton is phase 1. When we finally got the design, it was significantly over budget. So we asked P&L to come back with a different, an alternative plan, so the board can make a decision on either expending the $300,000 plus more or cutting back the scope of the sidewalk. I think everyone has a map. Peter, maybe you can now kind of give us a little insight, please.
So, yeah, I talked to Max Cooley, who's the PM for this project. Let me know if you can't hear me.
We can't. You're probably better off over here. I'm sorry. Is that a portable one? Can you? Yeah, you're quicker than he is.
I don't know about that.
You want me to talk over here?
Well, after the meeting, we're going to play a little 5-on-5, aren't you? I get first draft.
So, we did provide two figures for the board. The first figure is where the project was contemplated. Option B is basically after that more or less regarding the reductions designed to kind of maintain kind of the overall project, which is to provide a continuity of sidewalks, reduce scope, meaning that the project at the time and what we're seeing as far as additional items included in the project with the budget that exceed what the town initially committed. So the option B basically reduces the cost of the project to kind of get down to the intent and kind of more or less match what the town's original commitment was with the grant. There's only parts to that as far as the changing materials and stuff like that. This is really kind of the crux of the main reductions. Effectively there's a reduction in not two sides. The sidewalk along the Cleef would be one side that currently is the sidewalk along the section of Cleef. So we think that was really critical item. And then on Troy Street, there is a kind of the eastern extent of the project, where we're the eastern extent of the sidewalk. Really looking at that from the standpoint of travel and get up towards what they did eliminate is limited use in the north side of Troy Street and the north crossing that can cross the parking lot. So the intent there was about the probably the next best alternative to reduce the overall center sidewalk. Again, the intent there is kind of bring the project down and one kind of manage the cost of the grant. Yes.
Peter, first of all, thanks for these prints. It makes it a whole lot easier to understand, sure. And of course, some of these eliminations are no-brainers because, like you said, there's no sidewalk there today. But one of the questions I have is how far do these walkers, how far do you got to be from the school and that you're required to walk or encouraged to walk?
I think it was, it used to be, I think anything outside of a mile, you were lost. But I've been away from it a little bit.
So everything on the map that we're looking at
Would be
is certainly
potential walkers.
or potential walkers. Have we actually done any traffic flow, kind of analysis? Do we know how the kids are walking to school?
This is really just.
What routes they're taking?
Policies, signs, continuity travels, walking to school. Really, this is, and it was a formal evaluation of the traffic in the schools. As part of this, it's pretty much designed to maintain one of these continuous of traffic costs. So, when we go across the meeting, that's the cost, the cost.
I mean, I kind of get our first cut, right? We had so much money, so we essentially included every sidewalk in that area. So now that we have to cut, if we are going to cut, I just, in my mind, I wonder, is Troy Street a more heavily trafficked or walked street than one of these 4 side streets? Would we be better off eliminating, one of those segments? Because we have the double coverage, right? And keeping double coverage on Troy Street. And I don't have that answer, but I think it's certainly one that probably should be considered.
I think part of this is really the board. We're not just looking for the city. This is pretty much here's guys. I think Troy Street did have made some sense of these traffic pattern when they had visibility. You don't want to have crossing one parking lot. You want to have crossing in the intersection. Sure. And it pretty much is the limits. So there's still a pathway, from Troy Street. Ultimately, it's a river to get to it. Potentially the third phase of this would be around which that would possibly consider Troy Street at that time.
So I think, Steve, it's a valid point that basically we're looking at 1,900 square feet of sidewalk eliminated from the option B. Okay? I would be more than happy to sit down with school officials, maybe Superintendent Klingerman and a couple of principals, get their input, transportation director, to get their input and see if they would agree with that type of thing. But it's 1,900 square feet. We've already approved the project initially. I'd like to tonight approve the project, either option A or option B. If we go with option B, then we can specifically say we're going to maybe cut some sidewalks off. Instead of Troy Street, maybe it's over here. You know what I'm saying?
You're looking more of a linear flow.
Right.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Does that work for you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, one of the options, we have that path that goes between the 2 schools, right? Which currently today is not even a path. I mean, it's just grass, correct?
No, it's a path.
Is it?
Yeah, the students from the middle school, high school, and especially in the spring.
But it's not a sidewalk.
No, not a sidewalk. It's a mowed area.
Mowed.
Yeah.
Okay. Grass, but I don't think
and the kids come from, sports, to play sports and so forth.
Perhaps that's an area that could be eliminated from actually receiving sidewalk, and you could put a stone trail there between it, save some money there, and keep one of these other sidewalks on, one of these main streets. Like I say, I mean, number one, this segment, right, there's no sidewalk there, so that's a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. So you're really just talking about this. If you eliminated that, it's about half that, Troy, right? And that's not a heavily traveled path, I don't think.
I don't know. But again, if we get the school officials involved and have them take a look at it and see what they think, and then, obviously come back and with the final, okay, we're going to do this.
I'm good with
Okay. So, can we vote on this, Pat?
Well, right now, you're setting up a meeting to get more input to see
But
where you want to go.
can we vote on option A, which would be the full expenditure of the project, which could cost us $360,000 more, or choose option B with possibly some modifications to option B, or should we wait until September?
I'm thinking you should wait till September so you know what it is you want to do, rather than approve something that you're just going to try to change something anyway.
There's more, I mean, this is basically kind of, this is a 5 mile high overview, so certainly additional faults on the respective costs, compared to some solution. I think it's more on the trails, so there's other components in here, we kind of can't even do that, the overall reduction. The lane foot reduction sidewalk is okay,
Can we get it out to bid in 2020 and start the project in 2021?
I'm bad at on top of that, because I always DOT review process, looking at the final design.
I just like to, I'd like to have our eggs in the basket and ready to go in the spring of 2021. Because the longer we wait, it's potential of costing you more money.
I think if there's a decision on, if the concept is good, I think that's, we certainly advance. Additional assumptions on where we want to go.
Okay. So would you do me a favor and get the numbers to Nikki for September as far as, I have them here someplace, but option A, what additional money, I think we approved to expend 500 and some odd thousand, I don't remember. And then option A would be an additional 3 something, and then if we eliminate, or if we go to option B, then it would be the initial commitment to the town.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. Should that go under new business for next year? No.
That's just scheduling. That's just your agenda, however you want to put it together. But it's an active project, you don't know what it is, so put it wherever you want to.
Very good. And I'll get together, as I said, with them. Chief, I might have you join me for that, is that all right?
Yes, sir.
And Jim, maybe join me for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The full option, Dawn pointed this out. You mentioned the TAP grant funding. We what's not here. Oh, yeah. It's still here. Okay. We're not yet. Sacrifice of the grant funding. It's kind of matched that. It's like grant, very profit, the town contribution. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Okay, so Dave will get back to us on the DEC, the foil topic thing. I just want to give an update on the town manager feasibility committee that was approved. Jerry Macaluso has agreed to head up the committee. He's in the process of recruiting committee members. He has all but maybe I think 2 in place. It's a pretty comprehensive committee. It's coming from all different walks of our community, education and industry and business, et cetera, business owner, downtown business owner, so a lot of different stakeholders. And he said they would start meeting in August or early September. And their game plan is to have a recommendation and a presentation to the town board either late December, most likely January. I'll give you some more updates on that as that moves forward. Okay, Kingdom Road sewer main update discussion. We've been talking and talking and talking. So we need to do a couple things, either put it on hold for a longer time or make a decision and put it up for a bid design, or nothing at all.
Well, I'll just say this, that, most of this planning and review was all done with the previous board. So I've seen nothing from an engineering, I've seen no engineering reports, no engineering designs. and I've heard some talk. We haven't had much discussion about it in the past 7 months, so I'd like to start there. I'd like to see what was proposed in the past. What are the options? So again, I guess that's, getting B&L to come in, maybe with a special meeting to give some input.
Well, there's been, I mean, conceptually, there's been a great deal done on, obviously, this all started with the Love Equal Trail that's not in place. There's been a lot of, meetings and discussion about the project. It's replacing the pump station, which is back when Del Lago was being built. That was part of an agreement we had with Del Lago that they donated the new pump station, basically. It's just sitting there, not in use. So now, I mean, basically, the force main has to come across the canal and down Barrett Street.
Or not.
Or not at all.
Or not across the canal. I mean, it could come down Fall Street.
Or it could come down Fall Street, absolutely. But on the many different studies that B&L did with the previous board, Fall Street was determined to be cost prohibitive. It's just such a massive job. And with traffic and so forth, and the depth of the sewer, that was considered not to be cost feasible. Okay? You can have B&L come in and give you some more updates. I would say that's a special meeting, okay? Because there's a lot of things that need to be, need to look at. Okay?
Well, but that's what I'm saying is, I would like to look at those. I wasn't on that board. Doug, Dave were. They're certainly, probably more aware of what's going on. But it's also it's stale, right? We haven't looked at this in months.
I look at it every day.
I'm sure that, huh?
I look at it every day.
No, I'm saying Doug and Dave,
I don't know.
it's probably a little stale for them as well. I'm sure Don, I can't speak for Don, but I gotta imagine Don's in the same boat I am. You don't know a whole lot about what the proposals are, what the options were. So how can we realistically vote on something that we know so little about?
I don't have a problem with that.
We were, the last time we talked, really, we were presented by Peter with a comparison between the Ludovico Sculpture Trail route and the West Barrett Street. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for the reasons that Mike just spoke about, Fall Street was really taken off the plate fairly early. It could be put back on. Maybe we start now with a comparison by Peter of Barrett Street and Fall Street. I know we were also interested in getting an RFP out for engineering services. So, where do we start? What do we do first?
And here's another possibility that Peter and I have kind of talked about a little bit. And Emily, we had a bonding meeting and grant writing and so forth, an engineering meeting. If you remember, the Kingdom Road sewer line was basically to connect 318, 414 corridor. The 318 sewer line put in by the county. The 414 sewer line is put in by the IDA, which is being turned over to the county eventually. And then bringing all of the casino and other development sewage to be treated at the town of Seneca Falls treatment plant. So something I thought about is, I'm hoping I'm 100% wrong, but there's a possibility that Del Lago doesn't open up again. There's that remote possibility based on what's happening and so forth. If that doesn't happen, will development keep happening in that area? So it's just something to be thinking about before we go out and expand or expend money. Another option that Peter will let you guys fill you in on possibly is if we don't replace the line, because the size of the pipe right now is not big enough to handle the additional load. Also, it needs repair, obviously. As Joe's going to tell you in a second, maybe another option to look at is just to reline what we currently have, much like we've been doing in the different sewer lines in the old village. Okay? So, I think you guys need to set up a meeting with Peter based on your schedules, and he can give you some options. Joe?
I believe DNL has a presentation they can give to Steve,
You do.
Steve and whoever about bowling that they've given before. We've had meetings, December they talked about it, and before that, so I believe he has presentations.
Yeah, we sent the presentations. I think the newest wrinkle, like, is per last month's discussion, the one scenario. With the existing force main itself, that would not handle the projected future flow. The Kingdom Road pump station is two parts of the project. One is the force main that currently discharges to is failing, and it has failed, and it's on its last ride. So replacing it and giving it an alternative, whether or not it's a new force main or whether or not it is a alternative, part of the project. The other part is that 318 component, the development part of the project, which is largely funded by Delaware. They funded the upgrade of the pump station at 414, they funded that, and new force main on 414, and the pump station that sits over Oak Street, basically was funded by the Delaware project. And there's actually still some money left in that estimate. It was part of that. So that look forward on all this development that the casino is going to bring, that's going to require a larger pump station, a larger force main. The third part, I said two, but there's really three, is that pinch point that the town currently sees on the bridge on Lower Street where heavy rainfalls happen. There's overflows that happen to the sewer that would kind of provide the canal crossing provides some relief. It also provides a second, all the sewer from the north side of town crosses at that one 20-point crossing the canal. This provides kind of an alternative.
Don't get me wrong, I understand.
Yeah, no, we can certainly, I can
Clearly all the potential, for the potential need for it, but to your point, if Del Lago doesn't come back online, and or development, which in the past 3 or 4 years since Del Lago's been there, hasn't been all that great. There's not a whole lot of brick and mortar going up anymore, right? We all know everything's moving online. People don't go into stores. We'll be lucky if the outlet mall stays online. The need may be diminishing. That said, if we do, so I understand the potential need, right? Might be there, might not. But I don't understand, I don't have a good understanding of all the potential for proposed solutions. Because I wasn't here. The other thing I'd like to say is that the cost of this certainly ought to be put on those folks who are in that sewer district. If it is Del Lago, they should be footing the bill for most of this. It shouldn't be the taxpayers of Seneca Falls. There should be a sewer district set up that the sewer district pays for. They're the ones that need it. We don't need it that much. I mean, we could probably get away with repairing what we have.
They pay, all the people who are connected to the line pay a sewer rate.
Are they paying their fair share? I don't know that either. I would like to see.
Again, the other issue is, and we can talk about this when we have more information. The other issue is the current condition of what you have is in deplorable shape. Okay?
But it probably
and that's all of 5 and 20. That's all the commercial properties on 5 and 20 that are part of the town of Seneca Falls. I mean, at some point, something has to be done.
I understand it.
They fixed
but
that.
Fall Street's probably, my understanding, the word on the street is Fall Street sewer may be even worse than what's on Bayard Street.
That's word from Brad Jones, he's always said that. I don't know, I'm not an expert, okay? But the bottom line is,
but we
let's
have
get some information.
But see, the thing is, we have to know. Because we're the ones that get the vote on this.
Absolutely.
Spend millions of dollars.
I agree, absolutely.
So that's what I want to know.
Steve, you gotta remember, we even had public comments, public seen it, right?
I'm the board.
Right now, the town entire planning board is meeting with, what is it, Loves? Loves, another, I guess you want to call it, another petrol.
Yeah, that's another,
I
you know,
mean, things
another
are
trucking,
looking out there. I mean, this business is looking. I mean, this COVID has put a stop on a lot of things. But I just read in the paper the other day that we're gonna meet with the town of Tyre, Love is, to get through on what they gotta do.
yeah, this is only, but why don't we, you guys set up a meeting, or set up a time with Peter, based on your schedules, okay? And then we'll go from there. Then we'll wait, Peter?
I'd like to see, for myself as well, a comparison between Barrett Street and Fall Street. Because, as I said, when we looked, we were talking about Fall Street versus the Sculpture Trail. Fall Street was pretty much already off the table for, valid reasons. But so we haven't looked at that. And I think it'd be great refresher for all of us. The other thing about moving backward, are we too far into the IMA with the county to actually cut back the scope of the project?
The scope of the pump, this project here?
No, we're talking about not doing something because that I thought we had promised in that intermunicipal agreement to do. So that
The intermunicipal agreement is, we don't have enough time in this week. Hopefully we're going to get some agreement here within the next, I think we've got a meeting coming up.
Do something on it next, there'll be a meeting on it next week, hopefully we can get the whole things together.
But how about it may not simply be just our decision.
Yeah, you can't pull out. I mean, really, this project does really not have anything to do with that intermunicipality agreement. Okay, we agreed, a previous board agreed to take that sewage, or to treat that, okay?
Right.
We can't get out of that agreement.
But also to account for future development, whatever
Right.
that is. We're saying there may well not be the amount of future development, and so we may take a cheaper, easier way out.
Right, and that's fine.
Okay.
And one of the things that Peter could explain to you, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't replace the line, then at a minimum, we have to reline it. At a minimum, okay? And convert over the pump station, okay? That's at a minimum, okay? Okay, thank you, Peter. Excuse me. New business. Approval of special events.
Three.
Mr. Spina.
We have three of them. I'll deal with People's Park. The first one is a request by Seneca Community Band to use People's Park for the next 4 Fridays at 6:30 to have public concerts. Supervisor Farrar and I met with Gretchen McDonald a couple of weeks ago, and she was able to submit a safety plan as per we asked and submit it. I know Pat Morrell has reviewed it and okayed it, so that would be the first one. I don't know if you want to batch them, Mike, or you want to do them individually.
Let's batch them.
Okay, so that's the first one. 6:30, like I said, in People's Park for the next 4 Fridays, 4 Fridays in August. Next one was a request from a group of people who want to have a rally for Black Lives in People's Park this Saturday, August 8th from 11 to 1. Again, we met, Supervisor Ferrara, Chief Peenstra, and Lieutenant Snyder and I all met with the organizer of the event. They have since submitted also a safety plan. Well, they submitted it and missed a couple things. I sent it back. They'll have it back here, I'm hoping tomorrow morning. But we did have that conversation with them about that rally. And the third one is from, I just received this yesterday afternoon, from Seneca Falls Development Corporation for a reception in People's Park on Wednesday, September 2nd. That would be to celebrate, Mike, probably fill it in? Or is that?
I'm not quite sure what it's for.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Pardon?
Is it for? Has to do for the statue?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Want to wait on this?
No,
Oh, okay. It's People's Park, it's an event to announce this new the new statue that we placed in People's Park. The gazebo will be a stage for the free speeches. Tent would be set up next to the gazebo for guests, less than 50 due to COVID restrictions. There will be food and beverages provided by local business. It will be a few hours. They've got it listed from 12 to 8 in People's Park. For again, Seneca Falls Development Corporation. Those are the 3 events.
Make a motion to accept the special use permits. Have a second, please.
Second.
Any further discussion or any further questions for Mr. Speaker? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Jim, would you let them know ASAP, the Reverend, about Saturday?
Yes, I told her I would call her after the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. I need a motion to enter motion or resolution agreement for dog control services. Have a motion, please?
Second.
And a second? Dave, you made the motion, and a second from Steve. Discussion here is just a formality. We need, based on, agriculture,
Markets requires a written contract to be in place. What having services, in this case, will be provided by Beverly Animal Shelter. And it's really an update of an agreement that's been in place for years. And this particular agreement just more accurately reflects the actual financial terms that have been placed between the town and the shelter.
The Ag Market inspects Beverly Animal Shelter because we use that for animal control. And they got nothing better to do, and they ding us every time because we don't have this written agreement. We're in compliance. Okay, all in favor of accepting the written agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
So passed. Mrs. Greer, it's already signed, okay? Okay. I make a motion that we put out an RFP for electrical contract services for the town of Seneca Falls. Let's see, Pat, or second, thank you, David. Pat, you want to talk to this, or Peter, you want to talk to this?
Well, this is something that I discussed with Peter, and it's an RFP to really have an electrician available to the town, so you're not going out to bid every time something needs to be done. And so it is a professional services agreement that we are seeking proposals, and the requirements of the town's new procurement policy are outlined, within that new RFP. Okay,
and the date on this is that I put in there is August 17th. So, Nick, if this is approved, we need to get this out ASAP. Okay, and all our RFPs go to the town clerk's office. Okay. Any further discussion or questions?
Yeah, I thought I read somewhere that this is a 2-year contract.
First page, first paragraph, 2 years.
2 years?
We did a 2-year last time, and it worked out well. We used them often, instead of having to revisit this every year. And there's been no issues with the contract that we've had.
So we've had this contract before?
Yeah, this came about because of the audit, and we were deficient, and we changed it immediately and put it out 2 years ago for a 2-year contract.
Well, now it's Carnival Electric right now.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need your approval, let me make a motion. I make a motion that we enter into a new service agreement with T-Mobile. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, basically, T-Mobile is being bought out by, T-Mobile is buying out Sprint. The village of Seneca Falls in 1996 in an agreement with Sprint to have antennas on the Van Rensselaer water tower. Since they're being bought out. T-Mobile would like to maintain the antenna, but they don't want to, they are going to provide a different rate, type of thing. It's, as I shared with you, about $10,000 a year, and it's a 30-year contract, renewable every 5 years. So it's 6 5-year contracts with them. Each 5 years, their contract would go up 2% for the life of the contract. I will share the language with Pat before we enter into it. As I mentioned to you in the email, we can not do it if you don't want, but they will decommission the antenna, and that'll be the end of it. So there'll be no revenue at all. Type of thing. So, any questions?
This is just a Van Rensselaer tank?
Van Rensselaer right now. They're going to be coming back. They have an antenna on, T-Mobile has already an antenna, I think, on Auburn Road that is directed toward the other way. They're going to be coming back on that. Any questions? So, all in favor of the town entering an agreement with T-Mobile, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, I'll sit down and sure. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve expenditures to repair Garden Street culvert not to exceed $38,000. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Jim, can you talk a little bit about that for me?
Yeah, this culvert pipe has been in bad shape for quite a few years. And I went through our equipment rental agreement, and our contractor said that they could come in and do the work for us, along with the highway department helping them. And believe it's a 5-foot culvert pipe that's holding everything up. And the houses over there on Garden Street are getting flooded out because of it. So it needs to be replaced.
And it's been kicked around for quite a few years.
Oh, I'd have to say probably 10 to 12 years, if not more.
And it's progressively getting worse. Again, a lot of the houses in that area are getting water damage and so forth. It would help out with some of the drainage back in there, and eventually that goes into Benton Creek. So I'd like to get it done if you want. So, any questions or for Jim or Peter? Peter has looked at this as well. Any questions?
The only question I have is, if it exceeds $35,000, we have to submit an RFP.
35 is the threshold for public bid, but this is going under the equipment rental contract that's already been
Correct.
advertised and awarded. So it's not a new contract. We've already did the public bid procedure for the equipment rental. So this is, when we do the equipment rental agreement, we get rates on lots of different equipment and lots of different, with operators, without operators, all that sort of thing. And so, but that process has already happened. And so this is just using this contract that's already been, advertised and we got for that contract, I follow this is just using that contract.
And Jim, this includes the material too, right?
That is correct, yes.
Right.
I mean, this is hiring a specific company to come in and do a specific project.
We got a contract.
That's why we have the contract in the first place.
That's just to rent. Okay, I guess.
It's kind of like the electric one, Jim and I, you currently got an agreement with an electrician for the town to do a specific electrical issue, whether it be a generator or so forth.
Do we have a breakdown on materials versus, you know how that goes? Or, I guess, what are the particulars of this?
Yeah, there is somewhat of a break. We moved the existing 5-foot diameter diameter corrugated metal pipe, installing 30 foot of new pipe into the box culvert, pour concrete around it, and install number 2 stone and gabions around the pipe. So yes, they're gonna take care of all that.
So, but does he have it broken down, labor material?
No, he does not.
Can you get that?
I can get that, yes.
And get a copy of that to Pat, please?
Yes.
Part of Steve's concern is that we're so close to that cost threshold, but if you take off the value of the work that's supplied by the highway crew, then the work that's supplied by the rental company.
Well, the threshold for the bond materials is $20,000. So if we strip away the services and the equipment, we still buy materials. And if that's greater than $20,000 on its own, then that's a public bid situation on its own. Okay. Without the contract that we already have. So if we just get some more information on this.
I certainly want to get this done, but when that $38,000 comes out,
Yep.
because I know we have 35,000.
Yep.
I mean, that road is caving in right now.
That sounds like it's been caving in for 12 years.
Yeah, it's been a problem. Like I said, those people got flooded out this past spring. Did a lot of damage to them. And it's because of that pipe that's caving in there. It needs to be replaced.
Okay, so, are we going to approve this tonight, Pat, or are we going to hold off until September?
I would say hold off because we need more information about what it is that now.
Do I have to, we have to make a motion to table it, or are we good? We didn't vote on it, right?
You didn't vote on it, so was it raised and seconded for discussion?
For discussion.
Okay, then it should be tabled, yes.
Somebody make a motion to table this, please? And I second it. All in favor? Aye. Okay, but here's the deal. This has got to be, we need to get this done and finalized. So you and Pat need to hook up, okay? Because I'd like, if we move forward, I'd like to get this done before the snow flies.
Well, I can have the paperwork tomorrow. All we gotta do is go.
Okay, email it over, we'll talk.
What's that?
Email it over and
Yep.
we'll see where we go.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion that we terminate fire suspension account fees effective January 1st, 2021. Can I have a second, please? Some of our business owners are being charged a fire suspension fee. Some are being charged X amount, some are being charged a different rate, some are not being charged at all. There's no rhyme or reason why there's a suppression fee, excuse me. Basically, it's for sprinkler systems. God forbid if somebody had a fire, they're going to be getting free water. I think that's about the least we could do if one of our business owners experienced a fire. So this motion is just to stop collecting fees from the people that we are currently collecting them from. It's about $4,700 in fees for the year. It's very inconsistent. As I said, some people are not even paying fees that have sprinkler systems. Question?
This will be just moving forward, we're not going to try to get...
Moving forward, starting with 2021. So nobody will be billed for that next, calendar. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. 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 Thank you. Make a motion that we, resolution to purchase turbine meter, did I pronounce that right? Turbine meter, equipment replacement. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. You have in your packet the quotation, resolution. If you have any questions, Joe or Peter can answer them for you. Joe, why don't you give us a little bit of education?
Well, they changed to it. you have to work with it every day. And tell
Drain,
them what he experienced with.
This is, what these do is they measure the amount of particulate that's in the water. They are required by the Department of Health, being that we don't have a manned water treatment plant 24/7. And when the day shift's not there, the computers monitor all the stuff at night. The ones that are in there are like 20 years old. They don't support them anymore. You can't get parts for them. The software is so old you can't even mess with it because it's 2004 computer software. And they need to be replaced. So Hot Company is the company that provided them in 2004 for us. So it'll be a pretty easy swap to replace them with the newer version of the same ones that are there. And Hot has a state bid contract with New York State already with their set prices. So it wouldn't have to go out to bid.
I will add that we budgeted $50,000 knowing how much this was going to cost, but we waited until after we knew how much the pH adjustment system was going to be to make sure that we had enough. We found that out last month, so now we need to get to this project also.
Questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chairman, Mr. Supervisor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to request, this is just kind of a housekeeping thing, but we get these resolutions, I would like to see a department head or something at the top so we know where they come from. And here's one that, received a resignation from a person, I don't know that person, I don't know what department. I think that's a simple but a valuable. The department should put that.
You guys all hear that? If you have a resolution, make sure you identify what department and so forth. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have a resolution in front of us. Whereas Code Enforcement Officer Dean Zennemeyer served as Code Enforcement Officer since 2015, and whereas since being appointed, he has received no increase in his wage due to certain income restrictions, and whereas those restrictions have been increased with the current year, therefore be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby authorize a 2% increase in the Code Enforcement Officer's annual wage, retroactive to January 2020. This increase brings the same as all other non-union benefited employees in the 2020 budget. The increase will be covered by an increase to expenditure in A 3620.100 Code Enforcement Officer with a transfer from budget line item A3620.104 part-time zoning officer. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion.
The personnel committee met on this, and they had Dave help out more, but this is pretty self-explanatory. Dean, from his previous employer, draws a pension, but there was a very specific limit on how much he could make and still be eligible for that pension. So he has foregone any cost of living increases or anything else in order to stay under that limit for years now. They have raised the limit. He can make more money. And so this is simply to give him the same cost of living increase we gave every other non-union employee for 2020.
Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. I don't have anything on this one, but approve online continuing education classes. Where did this come from? Anybody know?
That's the assessor. It's in her report.
It's in her report. Okay, this is Debbie.
She's got
Yep.
2 online classes she would like to take.
Okay. So a motion to have Debbie Van Wald continue with online continuing education classes, which is a requirement of the assessor position. Have a second, please?
Second.
And as I said, this is a requirement type of thing to maintain her license with the state.
It's part of her education in the budget.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Resolution in front of us, whereas the town board received a resignation letter from Michael Bradley, who works in the water department, now therefore be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board accept Michael's resignation. I believe it's effective August 14th, Jim, or Joe? No, is it August 14th?
Wednesday, Thursday.
This coming Wednesday or Thursday?
I don't have the date in front of me.
Okay, those also ought to be in the resolution, the specific date, okay? When they are when they are
It has
resigned.
the date on it, right?
No.
Hang on, I might have it. And again, I might not. And again, I do. And again, I might not. Okay, whereas the town board received a resignation letter from Michael Bradley, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of Seneca Falls hereby accept Michael's resignation effective August 6th, 2020. Can I have a second, please? Second. All in favor, please say aye. Mike is moving on to the family business. Not an easy decision to make. This past year as a town was a very rewarding experience. I've enjoyed working for my community and have developed great relationships with my coworkers, creating great friendships along the way. I want to note that town supervisor Michael Farrar is one of the greatest people I know. Thank you for all the opportunities the town has provided me. I wish all members of the staff the best. I can be of any help during this transition. Please do not hesitate to ask. As I said, Mike is moving into work with his family in the landscaping business. Okay. We have a resolution. Resolution in front of us, whereas a vacancy in the water and sewer department exists due to the resignation of operator trainee Michael Bradley, and whereas the department needs to fill this position, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Board does hereby authorize the advertisement for a laborer position in the water sewer department. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
So basically, this is a resolution to hire the position. It will be a laborer position, which will be a savings in money compared to Michael's position. And a lot of what this person will be doing will be working on meter reading and repairing meters as well, right, Joe? I think?
Labor work and meter reading and repair.
Now, the new email we just got, that's got to go through the county, right?
It's always had to go through.
We've always done that.
Yeah. The application process has always been to the county. But anyway, yeah, they have to vet it first to make sure that the applicants meet the qualifications and follow civil service law. So it's always been like that. It's just some people have not followed the procedure. Anyway, so that's basically it to fill the position. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Did we vote on the resignation, his resignation?
No, we did. Did we vote, Nikki?
I didn't know.
Did we vote now?
Yeah.
We did?
Yes.
You voted no.
I must have not, sorry.
Did you vote no?
No, no,
No,
no.
I didn't.
Oh, I was going to say,
Okay, I have a resolution in front of me. The water treatment plant uses powdered activated carbon as a treatment chemical. And whereas bids were sourced from 3 companies for said chemical, now therefore be resolved that the town Seneca Falls Board hereby authorize the purchase of powdered activated carbon from General Carbon Corporation for $1.10 per pound on an as-needed basis. Can I have a second for that, please? Second. Second. You want to let James talk to this as well? Sure. James, educate us.
We use powdered carbon to follow the procurement policy. We got 3 different quotes from 3 different companies. One wasn't even able to provide us with the chemical that we need. So it should be all right there in your packet for 3 bids. And, yeah, I think it should be right.
Any questions?
It's used to combat microsystems right now and based in order. Microsystems are from roofing out.
Have we escaped? I know there were some allergies on some habs on the north side. Are we doing okay?
Yep, we're good.
North
We're
side?
going to be testing Thursday for microsystems, and then go from there. We've been in contact with the Department of Health and kind of discussing how we're going to sample.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carried. I have a resolution here, whereas the Highway Department would like to add to the budget $116,775.70 from the CHIPS program and Paid New York program and Extreme Winter Recovery program. Whereas this money will go into the street plan DA 5110.408 account for paving, and therefore be resolved that Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the money for the street plan to go into the account 5110.408 for paving. Have a second, please. Jim, I know this is an annual thing, I believe. Anything else to add?
Well, the state comes out after about the midsummer range, and they give us the Paved New York and Extreme Recovery money. The CHIPS comes out real early in the spring. So when the state comes and gives us this, then we just got to adjust our budget. This money here, we got to put it up front, and then the state reimburses us after we use it.
This is done every year like this, right there?
Every year, every department has to do that.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We have a motion here to regretfully accept the resignation of Nick Comancho from the position of police officer with the Seneca Falls Police Department. Chief Pincer would like to thank Officer Comancho for his dedication, compassion, and professionalism to the department, citizens, and those that visited Seneca Falls. Chief Pincer and the members of the Seneca Falls Police Department wish nothing but the best for Officer Comancho in his future endeavors. Effective, Chief, do you know?
Is it on there?
Is it on there?
No. It's
Not
not
on there?
It's not on there.
I wouldn't be asking you, buddy. I think, I want to say that, is that the 14th?
I apologize for that.
No, it must be Tim left, I can't help you out of that. Anyway,
I want to say it was the 17th.
okay. Effective pretty soon.
July, no, it was in July.
Is that okay, Terry?
That'll work.
We're going to hold off. Can you find it out for me?
Yep.
Because it really should be in there.
Yeah, I apologize for that. It was in the email, but I failed to put it in the resolution.
We're going to come back to that, okay? If you can ask, find out.
Find that email.
Yep.
Set it aside.
I'd like to make a motion that we add property insurance to the Three Ladies statue on East Barrett Street. Have a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. As I mentioned in the opening statement, there is no insurance on it. It's about $200 for coverage. Estimated value is $150,000 for the statue. Question? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
July 15th,
Huh?
July 15th is a resignation.
I was just gonna say, I just got that myself.
August 15th?
July.
Nick,
So he's gone already?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, is that in there?
Nope, we're gonna, haven't voted on it. So I hereby make a motion to effective July 15th, 2020. Have a second, we had a second, and all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Resolution to accept the budget modifications. Bev shared this with you. Have a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. I'd like to make a motion not to exceed $2,900 for painting of the gazebo in people's Park. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. If you've been down there, it's in a little rough shape. It needs a facelift. There's some activities going on down there now and in the fall. I'd really like to get it cleaned up. I think it's a central point of our downtown area. And obviously, we should try to maintain that property as much as we possibly can. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Is that something our folks can't do?
Typically, they do some painting, but typically it just depends on the year, type of the year, or time of the year, I should say. But I think Aaron did the ceiling at one time, Jim?
Yeah, Aaron and I think they kind of both did it. But it's, difficult with, we didn't hire summer staff this year. We're down to just really those 3 guys, and I don't know how we could get it done.
Back in the day, when I was in the business, I used to paint that every other year at the gazebo.
You did?
Oh yeah, back in the village.
How much you want?
When he gave me the quote, I told him I remember specifically. The last time I painted that was 1974. It was $350 I got.
I was thinking about the scale on it, Mike. Maybe you're really overpaid.
Or maybe we're getting hosed. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, moving right along. Let's see. Okay, we have a resolution in front of us introducing proposed local law and providing for public hearing. Whereas the Town Board of Seneca Falls believes it would be advantageous for the town to amend parking restrictions in the town code. Therefore, be it resolved that the proposed law number 4 of the year 2020 entitled Local Law Amending Section 28-14 of the Seneca Falls Town Code be and the same is hereby introduced before the Town Board of Seneca Falls, New York. Be it further resolved that copies of the aforesaid proposed law be laid out upon the desk of each member of the Town Board, and be it further resolved that the aforementioned proposed local law referred to the town's Chief of Police and Highway Superintendent for review and recommendation. Be it further resolved that the Town Board will hold a public hearing on said proposed local law at 6 p.m. on September 1st, 2020, and be it further resolved that the Town Clerk publish or cause to be published a notice of said public hearing in the official newspaper of the town at least 10 days prior thereto. Upon adoption of the foregoing provision, the clerk distributed copies of the aforesaid local law to each member of the Town Board. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. This is something that we've been working on. Chief Pinstra, zoning, Dean Zettelmeyer, Jimmy Peterson, and myself, we completely went over the village, the old village and part of the town, look at the street parking signs that are in place, look at the parking restrictions. We went through the different codes and try to make them consistent. This is not an attempt to take away parking. This is an attempt to make the laws consistent with the signs, and this is an attempt to actually increase parking in different parts of the old village and the new town. So a lot of work went into this, and Chief Pinstra and Highway Superintendent Peterson's work. Then we met together with Attorney Morrell, Town Clerk Greer, and we went through each specific one, and this is the end product that you have that we'd like to make as part of town law, local law number 4 at our September meeting.
So if I could, I'm sorry. Well, I just want to point out that you do, so what you have in front of you, it does have the parts that are to be removed, have a strike through, the parts that are added are in bold italics, that when it comes time for adoption, if this is adopted by the board, the final version is going to be a clean, straight, with no highlights or no, nothing to point out what was there or what's there now, but it would be the new version of this section of law, a clean copy that would ultimately be sent to the Department of State, you know, as the new local law. So get into it now, you know, look into, you know, see what is going to be removed and what's going to be added. So what you have now has all that. But when it comes time for the next meeting, you'll be looking at a clean copy, and it won't, the transition won't be apparent, you know, when we're looking at it next month. And the other thing I want to point out is that I did not put in a location of the next town board meeting. I wasn't sure if that would be here. I would suggest it, that it would be here. But when it comes time to do a public notice, we need to have a location and all that. I just wasn't sure.
I was going to ask that question tonight. I'm sure, I mean, requirements aren't going to change, or restrictions aren't going to change.
I don't see it happening next month.
Unless you guys are opposed, I think this is okay. And we're able to get some company in. I know the acoustics aren't great, but I think it's better than what we had before. So it'll be here.
Okay, well, there you go.
I just, so this is to bring existing signage up to date with existing practice. The reason I asked, I had a concern, oh, he's here. Maybe he can jump in. I had a concern expressed just before the prior to the meeting about specifically Rumsey Street between Fall and Mill. And the fact that the people that do park there, but it's not on the list here. But the fact that people that do park there often on both sides, really, I mean, that's a confusing, difficult intersection as it is. And if you turn off Fall onto Rumsey and you're immediately behind a parked car, and there's cars come from the other direction and other cars parked in the other direction, that's a difficult intersection.
Right.
So whether, I don't know if it's enforcement, I don't know if it's a change to be made, but I'd like to recommend that block really is all it is, that we look at.
We spent a lot of time on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that was the section, Nikki, that we discussed that was modified last year at a town board meeting, where that is no parking, but that now needs to be properly signed. Which we also, when we went around with the group, we discussed with Jim about signage that was either missing or not. So that is something, Pat, you remember that discussion where it needs to be filed and it needs to be caught up in E-codes? Do you remember that discussion we had with that?
Not in relation to Rumsey.
Yeah, so it went into when Rumsey was, the stop sign was put into place. We also modified some parking because I know that specific area was not listed on the original and now needs to be added. Nikki had mentioned that she had some other areas of codes that need to be caught up in E-codes and filed. And once that's filed and properly signed, then we can enforce it. So we have to have the sectional law, the signage, and the enforcement. The final piece would be the enforcement.
Is that lot not listed here?
It's not. It's missing, and I brought that up in the meeting. That is something that we did pass last year along with the additional stop sign on Rumsey Street. We just have to get that caught up. So we've got to do some catch up with that, but that was discussed during our process. So, in other words, that should be going in as well.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. So we will have a public hearing at 6 o'clock on September 1st, right here. And then under new business, if there's no issues with the public hearing, we will enact local law number 4. Make a motion to accept the water and sewer credits for the month of July. You received that packet with letters of explanation and also comparative bills and so forth. Have a second, please. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. 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 No need for executive session. I'll make a motion.
Sorry. I have a thing.
You have a what? I'm sorry.
A thing.
A thing?
Yeah.
You want to pay the bills first, or you want to do the thing first?
Okay.
All right, well, let's make a motion to pay the bills, because I'll forget. And a second, please?
Second.
Second? All in favor of paying the bills? Aye. Doors open? Aye. Okay, Doug, what's your thing?
I received an email from a person on Lower Lake Road concerned about the speed limit down there. And I told him, you know, a petition is a good place to start. Maybe someone will be here tonight to talk to us. And instead, he created this handout that apparently distributed on all of Lower Lake Road. It says, sign this and send it to Doug. So that'll teach you to respond. But anyway, so this is about proposing lowering the speed limit on Lower Lake Road to 15 miles an hour. I have 30 responses from 15 different households. So I'm not going to suggest any action. I maybe lowering the speed limit to 15, kind of making it almost like a school zone is extreme, but people did talk about speed bumps. People did, which I think are a great possibility down there. People did talk about enforcement. So it's just, it's out there. I don't.
Yeah, it's out there, and I've received things similar to this, and all the proposals are crossed out, and they want to keep the speed limit the same. You know what I'm saying? They're opposed to it. I can only tell you that Lower Lake Road is a county road. If it came to the point where the speed limit was lowered, the Department of Transportation needs to come in and do a study of Lower Lake Road. And I know that the police department has put up your little speed limit things. So further study would have to be done, but ultimately the decision would have to come from the Department of Transportation for approval for the town to, and I don't even know, can we lower the speed limit, or the county would have to lower the speed limit? I know.
That's a good question. That's,
Well, who lowered it
that's
from
what-
30 to 25?
I don't even know who.
Probably can.
I think the county, you gotta go through the county to do that. You gotta go through the state first, but the county's got the state's got the last say so, but it's a county road. We really don't have any jurisdiction on that road.
Right. So,
They would have to go through the county.
and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because really, like you said, it's out there. So if they were in contact with you, I would strongly suggest them to come September, somebody, and, you know, have us look into this type of thing, okay?
Thank you. That's it.
So years ago, we looked at lowering the speed limit on County Street, because that even makes more sense, right? Because it's a very narrow street behind the stores.
No speed bump.
And when we looked into it, we got with the state, and the state said that you cannot legally lower any speed limit lower than 25 miles per hour. That was years ago, Jim. I don't know if you remember that conversation or not. And you also cannot put speed bumps in a public road. So those were two things that the state were not going to do. That's why County Street is 30 miles per hour, which is, to me, ridiculous, but it has to be 30 miles per hour. The only roads that can be 15 are in school zones.
The moral of the story, a lot of this is not in our control, unfortunately.
That too.
And the other unfortunate part, I'll just make one more comment, that was repaid by the county not that long ago, if I remember right. A couple years ago, Jim?
What's that?
Lower Lake Road, a couple years ago, repaid by the county?
About 3 years ago, they paid that.
I wish, you know, I know speed bumps aren't options, but I wish you could put some ripples in the road, you know what I'm saying, to slow people down also. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. You know, like we have up on Sackett Street,
right?
Coming off the Shamrock and Sackett, you know, there's like rips in the road type of thing. Slows, you know, slows people. Okay, Kyle, would you like to have the floor at all?
I don't need the floor, I said, or we can, so. She probably wants.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Nope. Kyle's making payment for the second
quarter check, $691,000.
How much, Kyle?
$691.
$691.
A little bit less than quarter one, but as discussed before.
How much down your so business is down about 25, 30%, you think, because of the pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor? Aye. Folks, thank you for coming, have a great evening.